we'll figure it out as we go along. It is still a work in progress. Okay. Alright.
Do you want to grab a phone or something and so we can check and make sure that, and then you can notate that we're online?
Yeah.
Or streaming?
Here you go. Here's the phone. Okay.
You want me to post it in Discord?
Yeah, go ahead and post in Discord. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second embroidery stream. Today we are going to be embroidering one of my emotes. It's my heart emote on my channel, which I drew myself. That is inspired by two different characters of games that I play, actually, on my stream. So, this is the shirt we're going to embroider on. I'm still currently trying to set up colors, so you'll get to see, well, where I have to put the colors on the machine, and then us communicating on what color is where. So, let me go ahead and continue doing that. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. I'll try to stay at the angle, but you might not be able to see it the best.
Hi everybody, this is Fanya.
Mama.
Llama Mama. I'm Ginger's mod and also her mom. And you were shopping all alone. Okay, so then no one was at the store, like you were gonna check out all by yourself? No. I'm glad we can entertain you.
I even started I was gonna have the color set up before, but I went ahead and started just for you.
Okay, so I'm not going to show you guys the software portion of putting in the colors because that's a whole nother
setup for
that's a whole lot of crazy. And no, we're not quite there yet.
I know it's not the perfect setup, but hopefully this will give a little bit better view of the embroidery than we had last time.
Yes, we do have a better camera.
So, you'll get a little bit more of a...
Okay, you're using regular white for...
Yes.
Alright. Hopefully it's not going to be difficult. What is the white? What's the number for white?
61001. So I always keep a trash can, not that you can see it right now, down right at the bottom because you're constantly just cutting thread, and a lot of times when you're very much into your embroidery, which is often you get invested in things, little things like that don't seem to really matter much. So it's easy to just drop it. So at least that way it's not going all over the floor.
Don't yet have the perfect setup for the office, but we're getting there slowly but surely.
And any feedback you guys have, please let me know, because this is still very new to us, so any kind of improvements we can make. Because I would like to hear, because you guys are the viewers, so I want to be able to the best of my abilities, give you guys what you know, I want you guys to be able to see what you want to see for this. Obviously, you know, there's limits to sure. But
okay, I need the dark blue color.
the dark blue is 61535.
Team Blue.
Team blue. Okay.
Yeah, I don't name this stuff. Oh, and it looks like deep indigo. It's
I
like
know,
crazy.
it's so weird the way that the
Yeah,
colors.
that's, yeah. Okay, so no, stop. Alright, so let's see.
Something that I do when trying to change out changing out the thread, the best way to do it, the easiest way to do it, is the previous thread, you leave basically a tail. I don't know how easy that is to see.
You can't see it.
Okay, well, there's a piece of thread. Thread.
Unless I'm zooming in on a piece of thread and you're not going to see it.
So basically, when you pull this up, you just leave a tail, and then you take the next color that you're going to put up, and this can be a little bit of an annoying process, but you go upside down because you want it to feed through with the color, with the tail that you have. Like I said, this can be a bit of an annoying process because it likes to stick to the sides instead of going down there easily. Of course, it's gonna be worse because I'm on a camera right now.
It's like tech support. Everything is literally falling apart when it's just you. And then the minute you get tech support on the phone, it's completely fine. And as soon as you hang up, it goes back to doing what it was doing before you waited on hold for 45 minutes to talk to tech support, and then had another 45 minutes trying to explain what the problem was. And I swear machines love laughing at you because that is what happens every time. So I frequently will ask that they remain on the call until I've had a chance to really push whatever it is I'm working on, computer, embroidery machine, gaming console.
What's the next color you need?
I need the blue of his mouth, like around his eyes and his mouth.
Okay. Like the lighter blue?
Yeah, not the light. Yeah, the light one.
The light one. 61249. This one you're gonna have to partly thread.
Alright, now I need his nose.
His nose of the navy is 61422.
And then I think it's the black for his eyes.
Which is 61005. This one might be too short.
Alright.
It's fine, I can pull it up. She's gonna make the thing a little shorter. Not that big of a deal.
So do you want I
What?
can't. I can't really print.
I'm not worried about printing it right
Um,
now. I have all the colors out and loaded and everything. Always print that later. I'm not worried about printing it.
okay. Well.
Because this. So the other thing too, because of the color of the shirt, the colors are gonna change a little bit from what the emote looks like on stream. Since the shirt is so light, this is because it's summer, so I didn't want to dye. It is kind of a lighter weight shirt, and the more stitching you put on it, the more that it, of course, is going to wear on the material. So since the heart was such a big area, I figured that I would just make it an open. You'll see it when it starts to stitch, and it will stitch very soon. So that way you're seeing basically the heart is going to be the t-shirt. So the colors had to change a little bit because, yeah, because the colors had to change. Where was I going with this? Because the color, so it's going to be different from the color of the emote because of the color of the t-shirt. What are we getting for?
Okay, Mickey Van.
Dale.
I know you know all about Stitch.
How's the mic? Because I did get a new mic. My other one quit on me, and I need to make sure that one sounds okay. Because apparently it started to sound like it was underwater.
Alright. I am going to have to open this in OS.
We have a lot of programs.
Yeah.
They're very similar. Okay. So.
Okay, well, unfortunately the mic is. Do I sound closer? Because I'm close to the mic, she is not.
I'll try to speak louder. So I'll kind of, especially when the machine starts to go, I'll try to kind of yell. Or she can always pass along what I'm saying. Yeah. So all of the, I've now put all the colors up that is needed. Then the next thing I want to do, and something that's super important when changing colors, is in order to get the thread to put what?
Okay, so can I minimize this for just a minute?
Yeah. Do you want help? You know what you could always do too is you could always, instead of worrying about, because you don't really need to see what the camera is going to look like. So where is
No,
it?
I just need to be able to
Oh,
get to
yeah. That's
OS.
yeah. So I'm trying to watch my mouth. I'm trying to watch my mouth. It's not easy. Okay. So OS, we don't really need to have.
Did you put oil on the rotary hook?
Is that the bobbin thingy?
Yes.
No, not yet. I was about to get there. So something, because you don't need OS to be all big and stupid, so then you can keep chat.
But you do need your colors adjusted.
Yeah,
and your hoop adjusted.
No, I know that, but then you're still going to have access to the stuff. Well, you need to load the design first. You still have access, you can still have completely work on OS and keep that going, but then you'll be able to see chat still. Son of a stitch. Okay, so, yeah, like I said, something that is big is you have to lift these up when, and if there's any, hopefully there won't be thread breaks, but if there are any shredding or anything, you'll see this too. In order to get the thread, because this is the roller that keeps the thread from going everywhere. So in order to pull it through, you have to leave it up. However, it is absolutely crucial to make sure you put it down. Otherwise you get birds nesting, which means that basically the thread just all tangles together and it will end up in the bobbin and it becomes a whole big mess and can potentially completely ruin your project. So the next thing I'm going to do, because some of these, I know it's really hard, you can't really see the threads here. The next thing I'm going to do, since I just loaded all these new threads, and I leave the tails kind of long so that way. What? What?
He's too big.
No, he's not. You just gotta move him. Wait,
he's too big. I went based on what Mighty Hoop said.
These assholes.
So you're gonna have to use a bigger hoop.
What size is it?
It's like.
This is 8.5 by 6.5.
Yeah, that's
5. Because I start gonna work with the 5 by 9.
Cause see, let me go over here real quick. Let me display. Yeah, that's not gonna.
Okay, well let me go ahead and keep prepping because I still am gonna need to prep the.
Because you're not gonna want the 10 by 10. That's too big.
No, it's gonna cause because you want it to be as tight as possible, especially with such a thin material. Because otherwise, it's gonna bounce too much.
Yeah, it's.
Why does it have to be like that? Why does it need?
I don't
Can
know.
you size it down at all in there? Because it's just like a little bit too big.
Give me a second.
So while we try to figure out, because the size of it isn't going to be fitting in the hoop that I'm using today, because we do have different hoops, and different hoops are important because you want your hoop to be able to be as close to your project as possible, because the more wide open space you have, the more likely it is for your project to get messed up, especially when you're working on garments, and especially with a thin garment. So for some reason, even though we looked up the hoop limit, it's a little bit out of range, because there's a very specific range for each hoop, obviously, and it's a little bit too big, so we're trying to adjust that right now. Meanwhile, I can go ahead and continue to prep this stuff. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Okay. And then...
I gotta save this again.
Yeah, no, you do. So like I said, these tails are long because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room when I was putting through, and especially since you want to make sure the other color is completely pulled through, which a lot of times ends up leading to these kind of long tails of your new colors. So the next thing to do is to have this pull back, because then it pulls back all the thread, and you want to make sure none of the thread is shorter than this pull back right here, because otherwise it will slip out of the needle. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these down. I usually like to cut them with just a little bit sticking out. But not too much. The next thing I'm going to do, which is something you pretty much have to do every time you do a project. What? Are you ready for color tree?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do that again. Okay, so what color's first?
The first color is the deep red.
So
the heart.
Number 2. So right now what we're doing is telling the machine what color it needs to go to.
And then Christmas red, number 8.
Number 9.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the wrong one. And then the Kelly green.
Number 6. Each of these are labeled with numbers, so that's what I'm giving her, is the numbers of the different colors.
And then the glove. The
5.
brown.
5.
And it goes back to 2. And then
Silver next, right?
no, where is the silver? No, the silver was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I messed that up.
That's okay.
Okay, so number 5 is the silver.
Number 5. Okay, so 7.
And then 6 is the. Okay, 7 is 14, right, for white?
Yeah, 14 for white.
14.
Okay, so that's going to take her a minute. So, with the bobbin, always want to take out the bobbin and make sure there's oil put in.
Only a drop.
Yeah, only 1 drop, but it's important before pretty much starting every time. I mean, if you're doing a couple small projects at once, that's fine, but it's a daily thing you need to do. Or if you're doing a lot in a day, then maybe midway through, try to oil it in. Whenever I put it back in, I always like to have a little bit of a tail, but you don't want to do anything more than like 2 inches. So let's go and pop that back into place. What do you need now?
The dark blue.
15.
And then that's 2. And then the light blue.
12.
And then his nose.
10.
And then I know black is 16.
Mm-hmm. Should be pretty much it, right?
No.
Well, I meant for the colors that you need.
5 is the brown, right?
Yes. Okay. You good?
Yeah, I need to center the design.
That's fine. I need to move it, so.
So I'm going to go ahead and center the design. The machine's going to move.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not touching the machine right now. So it is, in fact, in the 6 by 8, right?
Yes.
Okay. So something we always do is, I don't know if the camera's going to need to be zoomed out here. Yeah, okay. So something we always do, we're going to adjust the camera so you'll be able to see me hoop here in a second. Actually, you can go ahead and try to move the table a little bit closer.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So do you want to go ahead and adjust the camera to be able to see the table?
You need me to zoom out?
No, zoom down.
Tilt down.
Whatever. Okay, not too far, too far, too far. Tilt it at. Do it a little slowly. Okay? A little more. Just like a little tiny bit more.
I can't.
Oh, okay.
A little tiny bit. It does what it wants.
Zoom out just a tad. Okay, that should be pretty good. You'll be able to see most of.
Let me zoom out one more.
Yeah, zoom out one more.
Good?
Yeah, okay. You can see most of it. Okay. So, like I was saying, hopefully you can see this. So, we have very specific hoops that we have. This is going to be the hoop that's going to be the tightest on the garment. We always put things like bubble wrap between to help protect because these are very strong magnets. It actually says, it actually gives a warning. Very strong magnet. So, like this actually says if you have a pacemaker, do not use it. So just to kind of protect it, make it a little easier to separate, we always put some kind of bubble wrap or foam or something like that. Let's go and set that back here for right now. I need to adjust. What?
You do have to be careful with those hoops because one of the things that you do later after everything is stitched is sometimes you'll have tails that you need to cut on the top part of the embroidery, and the scissors are usually very small, very thin for that, and because it's such a strong magnet, the scissors will stick to it, and if you have a lot going on, I'm sure Ginger's done it too, where I've looked around for a pair of scissors that are stuck to my hoop. Yeah. So that is a fun little.
Yeah. So right now what I just did was I just adjusted because this thing right here is actually I need to adjust it. So, this is nice because it is very much for t-shirts and stuff like that, so it gives a good guide of where you're going to want it. Probably going to want it about here-ish. I don't know exactly what that's going to be.
Roughly, it should be.
I might need to adjust that.
I don't know. I have a guide, but I don't know where it's at, unfortunately, since we moved. But I think.
Oh, okay. So this one screws on, but this one.
I think it needs to be about 3 or 4 inches from the. I mean, you could maybe go 5, but 5 tends to be a logo.
Well, this is going to also depend.
But and that also goes from the shoulder.
So this one has got a lot more free range on adjustment. This one, these little dots right here, you have to line it in the little dots. So I'm probably gonna have to readjust this to be able to fit the hoop properly. But there we go. When you figure. This is the neckline. Probably going to want it about right here. Because this is like kind of average middle. Maybe even a little higher because it is such a loose shirt.
Well, I mean, consider where your crazy little sloth starts on your shirt right now and go from there. You should be able to give an estimate.
Okay. This is going to be weird, but did it stop?
The camera froze. This camera did. No.
Why did the other camera freeze?
I'm not sure. Let me see if it's.
We're gonna have to go back to OBS.
Yeah, it's OBS that froze.
So you're gonna have to do what I showed you earlier.
Which is.
Why you gotta be like this? Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. OBS can kind of be a pain.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Do. Okay.
Not the USB.
Nope. It should be this one.
Yes.
Okay. Make that a little smaller so that way we can see other things a little better.
No, you might want to
make sure. Okay, that's working.
Can we
that
go ahead
one is
and
not working, unfortunately.
delete that one?
Yeah. The other one's not working now.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, just hide it. It's fine.
Or I can. No, this one is not working.
Yeah, give me a second. So, video capture. Make that a little bit bigger. Okay. There we go. Alright. So that okay. Alright, so let's see. Where does my, because I kind of want to go, I think I want to go to the top of the head here. So let me just be kind of weird here. Because the shirt that I'm going to be wearing is pretty close to the bagginess of the shirt that I'm wearing right now. So I'm going to go kind of based off of the top of the slot side. Okay, and then my thumb.
No, go to the top of the. I would go maybe middle letter.
Okay, so like right where the Y dips. That's what I'm saying, the slots.
Yeah.
Okay, give or take. Okay, so.
You're looking at about 4 inches.
So I would do probably 3.5. 3.5 to 4 inches. Okay, so.
That's an excellent question.
What?
I'm lost, said not sure who's having more issues, me or you.
Yeah. Okay. I wish these gave inches on here. So from neckline, we're talking about probably around G. So
It keeps freezing.
are you fucking kidding me? Why does this one hate me? Okay. There's a possibility that today we might have to just go with the one camera. Okay.
So you may not be able to do the side view.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, because this is going to be the camera that we're going to want more.
Because it will have a better view of the stitching, because I can tilt and zoom.
I mean, I should, yeah. So you might not be able to see my face today, unfortunately.
This, unfortunately, is not...
This is a brand new camera. We've never used it, so...
Well, and OBS seems to be kind of spazzing a little with...
Yeah, I need to look and see if there's like an update or something. I don't know. But, so... 4 inches, that's the neckline. So, G is going to be the best.
Yeah, I'm not liking the autofocus on that camera. And because it's new, I'm going to have to figure out what's the best way to turn that off. If I can. A lot of cameras now do not allow you to turn off autofocus, which kind of sucks. Because I kind of feel like my camera, my rules, not yours, but I'm not the manufacturer, so there's that. That's what you said earlier. What? I would tighten it. I would tighten the top.
I know, but I might have to adjust the top lower because the top, this has to screw in. The top does not. That's why.
Yeah, I know.
So that's why I'm doing it a funky way, because this is at least, I mean, it's going to give at least a good rough idea of where we need to put this. Because you've got to make sure it's nice and tight.
Yeah, you have to make sure it's also lined up with the holes.
That's what I'm referring to.
I wasn't talking about you. I was just explaining what you're doing.
Sorry. Let's see. Completely. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and tighten these in. Because this one doesn't have the screws. It's loose screws. This one you have to put in the holes. I personally think it would have been better to do the other way around, but of course, I guess actually technically we could have done. We could actually do. Okay.
No.
Okay, so always want to make sure that the lettering is face down. And there's a slight gap right here, so we need to make sure we bring this down because we want it nice and snug.
You're out of PB shake.
What?
I'm lost says he's out of PB shake.
What is PB shake?
Peanut butter.
Oh. So the next one I'm doing is cutting the stabilizer. With anything you embroider, you want to have stabilizer. It's something that's going to help kind of contain and protect whatever you're stitching on. So for clothing, this is called no-show mesh.
Yes.
This is the best one to try to do for clothing because it is soft. So if you look, you may not realize, but sometimes if you look inside your clothing, you'll see this kind of material here. But it's soft. It's not doesn't irritate the skin because it's impossible to get it because you have to cut it away. So you cut it as close. I always try to cut it as close as possible, but there's still going to be areas where it's going to stick out, and so this won't irritate the skin. And it's also a lighter one because you don't want to over stabilize because that doesn't go well.
Over stabilizing can cause massive puckering, misregistration, and even needle breaks. Now he is about 20,000 stitches, so if he were more dense, we would potentially, depending on the material we were stitching on, use 2 sheets of the no-show mesh or a sheet of the no-show mesh and a different kind of stabilizer to give it a little more structure.
Do you think we should use 2 sheets?
How thin is the material for the t-shirt?
So what I'm currently doing is there's this part, and it helps lock in. It helps kind of keep the hoop locked in because this keeps the hoop nice and tight, so it's easier to be able to hoop it. It keeps everything from going everywhere. But this, because it's raised up, if you have it go all the way, if you have whatever stabilizer, because these little black things are meant for you to be able to lock in your stabilizer so it stays nice and flat while you put on your garment. But what I tend to do is I always try to tend to cut out so that way it's not going to affect how tight it is. The embroidery term is taut, and I'll show you after it's hooped what I mean. So I always try to cut it down. What?
How thick is the no-show mesh? Yes, we are stitching stitch. When you did your Gamer Rage, did you do more than one sheet?
No, because it was a sweatshirt.
Thank you, Brainiac. I don't know. It's pretty thin.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it would necessarily hurt to do more than one sheet.
I feel like it might be better to just do it as a precaution than not.
Because the no-show mesh it holds its shape really well, but it's not super thick.
Give it back to me. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let me cut another piece of that. I'm gonna try to make this as difficult as possible on myself.
Now, something that I have been taught with that, because it does have a weave to it, would be to lie the two different on opposite directions if you can.
Wait, what?
Okay, so the weave goes, we'll say, side to side in one direction.
So basically having the two outer meet each other?
And then if you can turn it so that it goes up and down instead of side to side.
So like it sandwiches.
Yeah, well, yeah, so that it...
Okay, we'll look at it. Let me cut this first.
So that it's not necessary, but it can help make things just a little more stable. I mean, that's the whole point of stabilizer.
So you want to have like basically those together like that.
No, that's not what I was talking about.
No, we're not flipping it. We're not flipping it. We're not flipping it. We're not flipping it. That's what you were referring to.
No, I was referring to like this.
Oh, no. That's not today.
That's why I told you to wait.
I didn't quite understand. Okay, that's not today. We're gonna hope for the best. So, learn from my mistakes. I'm not exactly putting the stabilizer in the most. It's not bad. It shouldn't be a problem, but there's a better way to do it. Essentially.
With the material that the t-shirt is, there is a stabilizer that's for performance wear, like dance costumes, swimwear, things like that, that actually wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing because it's kind of a slick, super stretchy material, and that helps to keep it from sliding as it's stitching.
Do we have that?
We do, but I don't.
It's fine.
I've never used it before. I just know I have it.
This is my shirt, and this is kind of because we've been trying to really work on bigger projects, so some of the stuff is still kind of new, or we haven't done very many of them yet. But I mean, since this one is going to be for me, I'm not too worried about it because the nice thing is I can always embroider a new one. myself later on. I choose to. I think I'm actually gonna put some. So something we use for various things as markers or to try to keep something hold tight or whatever is this. I don't even know what kind of tape this is.
I don't know. I think it's like just like a masking tape.
It's like a masking tape, kind of like painter's tape, but smaller and a little bit less. So because I want this to be nice and tight, I'm gonna pull it at the sides here.
Yeah. Now, are you gonna take the tape off?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done this one. I've done this before recently. All right. So, time for the garment. Where did that go? Okay, there it is. Did it freeze again?
Yes.
So unfortunately, I know what to do, and I know that's not fun, but. I'm so sorry that this keeps freezing. Like I said, we're still trying to. This is new. This is still a work in progress. Okay.
No, it's still frozen.
Give me a second. I'll have to go through and delete them later.
Is the camera still on?
Yeah, it still shows it's got power. Why is it doing this to me? Do we need to maybe turn it off and turn it back on?
No, I think this is a problem with OBS.
Why does OBS gotta be like this to me? Please just function. I know it's gonna say. Why? Do you want me to like unplug it and plug it back in?
It's the bees. Yeah, exactly.
The bees and the llama. Okay, do you want me to unplug it and plug it back in? Hit cancel. I'm gonna try unplugging it. Well, wait, that's gonna turn it off.
Yeah.
Or I guess, do you want to turn it off and turn it back on? I don't really know what else to do.
Did it turn it off?
It's on standby.
Oh, it's possible because it's on standby.
Okay. Go power again.
Unfortunately, we've not really done a whole lot with this camera, so still trying to learn it. And like most cameras that are designed for conference calls, streaming, things like that, it's all remote based.
Is it normal for it to be blinking back and forth?
No.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna try to unplug it and plug it back in. Okay, try it now. You gotta try adding it again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you go.
No, that's the wrong one. Please. Oh. Okay. Alright.
But now, did you?
I'm moving it.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. Alright. So now it's time to put the garment on. Alright. So something that I have learned with garments is most people don't actually stitch their stuff evenly, so then that makes my job harder, because then it doesn't end up being completely 100% evil, or even, which is evil to me.
I mean, except for, you know, Damien, most things aren't 100% evil, but
There we go.
the bunny overlords wearing the bunny suit. Okay, all right, we'll go with that.
So what I'm gonna do is the seam right here, I'm gonna match it to the of course the neckline is lower. Should I maybe pull that? Should I maybe pull it up to the neckline? The neckline to the neckline? I should probably do that.
I'm lost that he's seen a few Disney people that seem 100% evil. Okay, well, I mean, I did give an example. I said Damien, you know, from The Omen. Maybe he's related to those Disney people. We're going to go with that.
Okay.
No dispute there. We've unfortunately met our share of
Okay.
evil
So
people.
this is a lower neck. Wait a minute. Yeah. So this is a lower cut than this one right here. So I don't know quite how this is gonna turn out, but like I said, this is my shirt, so it's fine. Because I did measure from the neckline, and when I put at the shoulders, the neckline's like way lower, so I don't want my thing to be like way up here. So it might be a little lower than I prefer. I don't know. We'll see. It's gonna be about here. Maybe let's bring it down.
About middle of the.
So this is about this is the so actually it's
Okay.
probably pretty close to
Lining up any kind of.
this. Okay, so this is the hoops right here. This is the hoop limit right here.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I
of
think.
course this is the edges of the hoop, so the hoop limit is even further in. So should I actually line it up with the shoulders right here? Because then
Yeah.
I don't know why that didn't make sense. Because then that's still okay. Anyway.
Oh, guess Disney shirt and shorts are out. You have to dress appropriate for training tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Is that what you normally wear to work? Is Disney shirts? I hope this is.
Rule of thumb, and this is for not just embroidery, but also for like sublimation printing or anything like that. If you're having trouble trying to figure out where you want your graphics to be located, if you go based on the middle of the sleeve to be the top part of the graphic, that tends to be a good spot.
I think that's as even as it's getting. The nice thing is it's loose, so it's gonna. Okay. So now it's time.
Yeah, it's been 91 degrees there, so they've been dressing like Florida people.
That's gross. It's been it's actually been that hot here. I don't
Yeah,
know if you realize that.
it's been that hot here too.
So okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and this is is where you're going to see how magical these hoops are. So, and it's hooped. And then now all we do
Now
is
keep in mind
pull.
your tape is stuck to your base.
I know that. The tape pulls off actually pretty easy.
Sassy.
You're sassy.
Come at me, broski.
It might stick to the shirt for a second. It's like, okay, yeah, see, it's already out. Problem is the shirts wanting to stick to the damn thing.
Shh.
The it's very difficult.
Yay, you got it.
Okay, so let me go ahead and try to take that tape off here. Okay. So what I meant by taut is if you look at this.
Can't really see it.
Okay. If you look at this.
There you go.
This is nice and flat. You want it to bounce a little bit, but you don't want to see anything that's like too wrinkled up or anything like that. But actually the little bit of a bounce is a good indication that it's nice and taut. So that's why you have these things to make sure that the stabilizer's nice and tight and everything, so that way you can have the correct.
Now you have to make sure that you adjust the presser foot.
I can do this. Okay. Now, let me. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and. So we're done with. Let me scoot. Let me scoot this out of the way. Get the deal out of the way. Okay, so yeah, no, it's time to put the garment on. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, so
I promise we've not been drinking.
something that's super important, I have done this, is obviously, you know, you're wanting to stitch only on one side. You don't want to stitch all the way through the shirt because otherwise you're not going to be able to wear it. So you want to make sure that the neck, not that you can really see, but basically that this hole right here is going to go around this. Because otherwise you'll stitch through it. So what I like to do is kind of put it, like this is, and the other problem is because there's a little bit of fabric here, it can get kind of stuck. So what I like to do, because there's these arms that hook it into place, I like to put
That's
it in.
where tape does come in handy. You can put a little bit of tape on it.
You know what?
Or a clip.
It's fine. Let me do
I'm
my
just
thing.
saying.
Okay. So then I have it in just a little bit, not completely locked in. Went ahead and moved the collar up so it's out of the way. Something I do like to do, because this is where we keep, this bottom part is where we keep oil and stuff. So when I'm working on a garment, I tend to like to go ahead and just for protection, because I just never know if there's, we try to keep it clean, but you just never know, and I don't want to get oil all over the place. So I try to make sure I have a towel down just to kind of help protect the garment. And then now that we are sure that it's around the thing correctly, what is that called? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, I am completely blanking.
I know, me too. Okay, so
It's basically, it's the free arm, but there's a specific name for it.
the where the bobbin thing is, okay? So where the bottom part of it is gonna. Anyway, so now something, because this one has like a little bit of an opening, this one doesn't. So this is the one that you want to make sure really clicks. So I always kind of try to slide it in.
They should both really click.
They do, but sometimes this one will click and this one doesn't click all the way. I know what I'm doing. So I kind of like to slide it in a little bit at an angle. Hear that one click, and then that one click.
Okay, now you need to do something, make sure it doesn't catch,
Catch
because the color because that's what shifts the material.
Oh, now I get why you used to put something.
Because if you put a little bit of tape on the color to hold it in place.
Do this most difficult. You know what? Let me do this most difficult way possible.
Then it's just a trick that has been recommended to me.
Okay.
You can use a clip, like a small clip, but tape tends to work pretty well. She's folding up the material so that it doesn't end up getting caught underneath the hoop as it's stitching, because that it doesn't tend to stitch through both of them, but it can cause alignment issues on the design.
Like I said, this tape is something that is safe to use on fabric. It doesn't pull, it doesn't stick, it just...
It's something I got when we did a bunch of beanies. I bought it from Amazon, actually. There was like a pack of 10 of them, and it was like $6.
Right.
And it's lasted a while, so.
Alright. So something else I like to kind of do is, usually I try to kind of tuck the bottom of the garment in here so that way you're not getting it kind of flying all over the place. Because then it kind of keeps it a little more together.
Okay.
So now the next thing is, now that this is snapped in okay and everything is looking good, hopefully, we're going to trace the design.
Well, do we want to adjust the presser foot first?
Oh yeah, let's do that. So there's the needle, where the needle comes down. You'll see it come down here in a minute.
Ready?
Yeah. So where we call it the presser foot, it's where the needle, this thing that behind the needle comes down. You want to make sure that it's kind of slightly, basically hovering the fabric, and of course every fabric is different with...
It needs to be as close to touching the fabric without depressing the fabric.
It's pretty much the same, because the last thing we did was the twill.
Okay.
So
does it have a slight depression?
It's like chilling at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like anything lower is going to end up being too...
Okay, well I did so I did adjust the Actifeed presets.
Yep.
I personally like those.
Okay.
Okay, top center. This is something that's in the maintenance, not in, these machines all have a certain software that is required. And now she's going to trace the design so that we can make sure that it's going to fit within the hoop and be centered. And
well, because sometimes when you, depending on what you're working on, sometimes when you hoop, you may not hoop it directly, because like last week we worked on towels, and every time we hooped it to where the stitching could go exactly where it needs to go, but sometimes it hooped a little bit lower, a little bit higher, so we just moved the name to where it matches with the rest of them. So sometimes that's what's important about making sure, if you have a very specific spot you need it to be in, and sometimes it's really hard to get that to hoop perfectly, then that's what that's good for.
one of the things with the towels is, because the placement of them, we put the names at the bottom. We had to
I'm gonna
go ahead and trace it. We had to make the names upside down.
Looks good to me.
All right.
So, yeah, do you want to go ahead and zoom in on...
I don't have the remote.
It's right behind you. So now that you've seen the setup, we're going to go ahead and zoom in on the embroidery. Like I said, because of all of our difficulties with the camera, you're not really going to be able to see my face, but we need to move it over.
doing this backwards.
Okay, do it a little bit closer. Go up a little bit. Don't really need to see where, because it's going to be more interesting to see where the needle is moving than the garment that's not moving. Okay, so if it's too hard to see, we can still zoom up more on it, but right now this is zoomed up nice so that way you'll be able to see it. I know last time we had a side view, unfortunately, like I said, because we're still trying to configure everything, I don't have that side view today, but you'll get that nice close front view of the stitching. And we might adjust the camera if need be. So let's go ahead and press start and hope for the best. Because you know it does the out, like it doesn't lay, like this can lay down.
Yeah, I know.
And you might want to explain that it might be hard to see the embroidery right now until it gets a little bit more.
Okay, so Ginger has notated that, and unfortunately the light does make it a little difficult. Which, I mean, that's just the light on the machine. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm very sorry. But the first thing it does on any part of the design when it starts a new color is it goes through, and right now it's stitching a satin stitch, and so it will basically trace with thread, it will trace the inside middle of the design. So you're not going to see any of the design yet. Until it gets right, it starts like to stitch, which it should be stitching in satin now, the heart, but
this one might be a little bit hard to see because it's a thinner part.
Yeah, this is a thin part to it, so maybe a little more difficult, but
You might want to say that we've added a little bit to, in addition to changing the color, we've changed the design.
yeah, we did add a little something since the heart is not filled in like it is on the emote. We put the word Ohana where his little claws are. So that's currently what it's stitching out, is the word Ohana. And yeah, that's another thinner part, because for the most part, unless you're talking about a very large design for your font, most fonts do look best in satin. Satin, we don't use a lot of satin except as an accent. I personally really like because experience with embroidery is when you're talking about a large part of the design done in satin, it doesn't lay correctly, and so then you get this weird looking kind of valleys in your design, which is not necessarily the best thing. And then Excuse me. And then I feel like satin is a nice accent. It doesn't snag as easily when you don't have a whole great big design full of satin.
Bigger things of satin can unravel.
Yes, bigger things of satin can unravel.
More people actually can use satin, but we do not.
Yeah, a lot of people use a lot of satin on their stuff. We just are not one of them. Should be stitching his little suit. Well, you probably see it more once you up a little higher. Yeah. It's one of those things where we may, and the next time we do an embroidery stream, we may see if we can't crop that camera, the one that's currently zoomed in on the embroidery machine, the Melco. We might put it up a little higher so it hopefully can give a little more downward angle into the stitching. Not right now.
Why?
No, please don't.
Okay.
Just.
Yeah, we're coming in.
Yeah, no, no. Yes, we're still trying to work out our design here for streaming.
It's going to be a lot of trial and error for the first couple streams.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of trial and error for the first few streams.
And like I said, if there's any feedback.
Yes, and so any feedback would be greatly appreciated. We also had a bigger hoop. Unfortunately, with the thinner hoop, it's going to be harder to see the design as it's stitching out, since we are zoomed in on the stitching itself. What's the matter? I'm lost. Did we do something, or did something happen? They're changing Genie Plus. Oh, they've already changed it. They changed Genie Plus. What did they do? We tend to get that memo late here, but it does tend to happen eventually.
Was it better to have the light on than it was in? We could try it with this picture, but yeah.
Yeah, we have a light that's above the machine. It's basically kind of like a garage light. Actually, it is a garage light. Unfortunately, when you're zoomed out, it does this weird, like, I don't know, lines across the camera. But with it zoomed in, it does seem to work a little better.
It doesn't, the bright light from the machine doesn't seem to, it seems to be a little more compatible to the bright light of the machine.
Did it not trim?
No, it's fine. Well, wait. No, there is. So sometimes you get, it might be a little bit hard to see, but I don't know if they can see it at all.
No, it's not the.
No, it's right here.
Is there a problem with the green?
No, it's just there's a potential possibility for it to. It just, there was a long veil. I think once the green starts switching, it will.
That's why I was asking about the red, because it looked like the red's still in the fabric.
No, it's not.
You can kind of see where the green has a little tail sticking up, and sometimes it does help to just stop the design and go ahead and trim those tails. So do you need to trim that one? What are you looking for? What is happening? Said he posted a picture.
I think where my phone is.
It's right here.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm going to.
trying to figure out exactly what changed. I don't know. With our pass, that is included, but it may not be once we renew our pass.
No, the way that the questions, that's not how our team questions.
Not right now. He said it mostly.
They can only do it one at a time. Is that what it was?
No, stop it.
Multiple. So see, I don't know if you can see, but it kind of gets shredded. But so now I need to fix that.
Can only have 3 what?
3 experiences.
Oh, 3 experiences.
What was it? What was it before?
What was it before? I don't know. We don't. We tend to only do 1 experience at a time because we just don't know what's gonna happen. Because again, when I'm there with my family, sometimes they can catch when I'm gonna have a blood sugar problem before I have it. Sometimes they can't, and so we try to be considerate of other people and not take advantage of.
Would it be better to zoom out? Because like you can't see anything. Because you should be able to see something by now.
I think that's why a lot of times people put it on the ceiling. It's got a ceiling mount.
I can try to get like something a little bit taller. Because like it's stitched enough that you should be able to see it. Give me a moment.
We are trying to. Sorry for the shaky. We're trying to adjust how it's viewing it because you can kind of see it a little bit. I mean, I do understand that though, because then if you have somebody who's got 7 things booked and then they only end up doing.
You can see it a little
Why is
better.
it crooked?
I don't know.
What'd you do to it?
Okay, hold on. Let me fix this again. Give me a second.
So, as I was saying, if you had somebody who had a whole bunch of things booked and then they only ended up using 1 thing, then they can only book so many at once, for guests. They're going to have a capacity limit. So I do understand that. Does it give you the option to cancel a booking though? Because I feel like that would possibly be a better way to handle it. If you could cancel your booking, because I understand waiting 2 hours if you just don't show up for your booking, but if you know you're not going to be utilizing it, then you can cancel it and book something else. I think that would be more guest friendly, but I'm not Disney, so there's that.
Okay, camera's gonna get shaky for a second.
Oh, well, that's good. Because they're staying on site. So they can book 7 days out. So he'll get all his lightning lanes before they arrive.
Oh, that would be nice.
See, I mean, that's a good thing. Like, that will be...
Where's the doodad? Where's the doodad? Other way.
Wrong way.
Okay. There we go. You can see a little bit better. Okay. Not perfect, but you can at least see a little bit better.
No, it's crooked, though.
What do you mean it's crooked?
It's crooked. It's not even.
Shit, you're right. I mean...
It's not terrible. It's not ideal. And we will try to...
It's not that bad. It's fine.
It's going to hurt a lot of non-hotel people. Yeah. But, I mean, like you said, that's more... Do you want to restart it?
Oh, right, that's on me.
Yeah. I mean... I personally think that I don't know. I have a really tough time with that because I try to be considerate of other people, and I know a lot of people are not. And yeah, we have passes, so somebody who is on vacation, for the most part, I'm okay with them having an advantage over what I have because I can go back tomorrow. They may not be able to. Now, there's times when I want to do something and it's the last day for it, and then, yeah, of course, naturally, I get a little agitated. But then that's kind of a planning issue on my behalf, so... Yeah. But see, hopefully that will make people... Hey, One Gun, how are you today? Yes, we're on early. Ginger has her sympathetic nerve block tomorrow, so we're doing an early stream of embroidery, and then she's gonna stream for a while tonight because she's not gonna be able to play. I will continue to stream, but she's not gonna be able to play for a few days. She'll mostly just be kind of on bed rest. How's your day going?
I am here.
Yeah, we had some problems with our other camera, so we've only got the one going right now. It kept pausing either one or the other camera, so we just said, okay, well, we'll go with the one. So you can kind of see his teeth from here. Do you have kind of a long tail on that one? If you want to just check it, make sure it's not going to be...
Let me let the teeth finish.
What is that gray piece? Or is that a white piece?
It's a white piece. It's doing the teeth, and unfortunately when you're talking about... So sometimes when you're talking about a very small... I don't know if they can hear me. A very small bit, because the teeth are small. So sometimes the tails get kind of long. So as soon as the teeth is done, I'm going to have to stop it and trim them down so that way it doesn't cause issues.
Unfortunately, when I did the design, when I loaded it, it made him look like he had braces because of all the jump stitches. So...
Actually, okay, yeah. So...
I opted to...
I don't know if you can see, kind of, probably not really, but that's the wrong thing. But yeah, there's these very long lines here. So I'm going to trim those up, because otherwise, like...
They can get caught underneath other parts that are stitching.
Yeah, because like the one right here, it will... Ow, I just stabbed myself. It will end up... It can end up basically ruining the design, because it will get caught into the stitching of a different area, and then it's really hard to get out, so then you get like a big thread going across your design, and that kind of sucks.
Which, when you're talking about you have something white stitching, like you have a piece of black thread and you have white stitching over, naturally you're going to see the line of black thread underneath the white, and then it kind of ruins your design. So, like, badly ruins your design. So right now she's just trimming up those.
The gray is fine because there's not going to be any more stitching there. So
Okay.
That's good. So it didn't cut the white very well, so it's kind of long and it's going to get caught.
Yeah.
Made that mistake.
We had to reset the system after the update, and since then we've had a little trouble with the length of the tails. Usually it's not a problem, but occasionally it can be an issue. So we do try to keep an eye on it. That bob and change. You need to change a bobbin. If you want to do trim immediate, you can.
I mean, it's pretty good. So
Yeah.
Once it gets to about this level, because you can see I can kind of pretty much stick my finger through it, and it should be like when it's full, it goes all the way around. So this starts to become a little bit... I personally think, depending on what I'm doing, if it's a smaller project, I personally think it's fine to continue to use this, but since it's a bigger project, I'm going to go ahead and replace to a new bobbin.
Well, the problem is that if it's stitching a bigger part of the design and it doesn't have enough bobbin thread, it will go until the bobbin thread stops, runs out, and then it kind of freaks out because you don't realize that you needed to change your bobbin.
And that.
And we are at about 12,000 of 2,200. So about halfway. Yeah, just over halfway. No.
Oh, shit. Thank you.
Now put it. All right. Unfortunately, there's so many things that you can end up doing that you don't realize you're making a mistake until it's too late to fix said mistake. And so it's, at least for her and I, it's good for us to work together. Yeah, I'm the one that does the computer stuff. She's the one who does more of the machine stuff. So that's what. It's getting warm. So you can start to see his little face and the very white menacing teeth.
Not hurting anymore, right? Not hurting anymore?
No, not at all. That's one that has caffeine in it. I also do customer support. That's a dangerous idea. I'm pretty sure you have heard me lose it on tech support before. And that wasn't even the worst I've gotten, but it was, I'll give you, it was pretty bad. Right? They did. Like, I was totally justified in how I handled that situation.
Oh, I see the announcement about the making laser.
Yeah, basically it just kind of limits, which that's what I was saying. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing, because then you don't have people signing up for things that really don't have any intention of writing.
It's people will sign up just in case.
Well, then you get one of three. This machine can run up to 1100 stitches per minute. We tend to run it around 700 stitches per minute. That's just what we're comfortable with and what seems to work the best. Okay, you got a very long tail there, so you might want to trim that. That's what tends to work the best with the designs we use and the how we hoop and everything. But you can actually run it faster than that. It's doing the light blue.
What?
Is it doing the light blue? Now on my software, what I can see is how much tension it's feeding the machine because I have it set for automatic octafeed. And then it shows me how many stitches are left. And it always estimates what it thinks it has left time-wise. And it always overestimates itself. But you know, I mean, it's helpful, so we let it go. But we do know that things happen, and sometimes it gets a little funky, and it's usually fairly accurate, but we do try to, if we're doing it on a time constraint, we do try to add at least 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how many stitches it has, to what it estimates, just because then that way we can cover any things like the bobbin needing to be replaced, or if for some reason a needle has a burr in it, or, you know, the thread shreds like it did earlier, or it didn't cut the tail. I'm gonna have to figure out if there's a setting that I can adjust to make the tails shorter without making them too short.
Yeah.
We did make this one very open on the density. The density is how many stitches occur within a certain space. Like it will do, if it's a lower density, it does more stitches. If it's higher density, well, if it's a higher number on the density on the software we tend to use, then it doesn't do as many stitches. The stitches are more open because of the material, because it's a t-shirt and it's very thin and stretchy. We wanted to make sure that it didn't end up having too much stitch in one area. So we did a very open ordinarily we wouldn't do something that open on the design. Is currently stitching the black for the eyes. Black is the absolute hardest color for any machine. We're using a Malco. It's a Malco Bravo. It's because there's so much dye to make the thread a nice deep black, which, I mean, it looks great once it's all stitched out, but it does make it more difficult. Yeah, the more dye that's on the thread, the more likely that you're going to encounter issues. So for anybody who's watching this and just starting out on embroidery, something to consider is that, you know, like right now I think it's doing the little white part of his eyes, so there's no coloring there. So the thread is lighter. It holds there's usually some kind of oil, silicone, something on it to keep it moist. And it is pretty much the only thing on it. Now with, like I said, with the black, you've got, you know, all the colors that make up the black. And then you've got the oil or the coating. So now you're talking about running that through the needle, running that through the rollers, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a problem, but if you do, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it's probably not your fault. Does it have a weird tail on the brown right now, Anastasia? Did you look at it? So right now it is stitching his hat, and then what it has left is the band on his hat, and there's a line to kind of give a little bit of separation on his ear and his face since they are the same colors. And it's kind of tucked behind, so kind of creates somewhat of an illusion of depth. So we have about 2,000 stitches left, and stitch is done. So the first time I saw Lilo and Stitch, the movie, I was feeling a little homesick. My husband was deployed. And the part where Stitch sits down and is reading to the ducks, because Ginger was pretty little at the time, I actually started like tearing up because I was like, he's so sad. And then, of course, you know, this is a crossover. It's inspired by Stitch and inspired by Freddy Krueger. Because Ginger really likes Disney and she really likes horror. But there are things that are different with our design. Like I said, with the way it's going to look is not going to be exactly like the emote. I believe Ginger said that earlier. How you doing, Mickey Van? Are you on break? What is it doing?
Going back to like the center. Okay, let's see how it turned out. Do you want to zoom out a little bit?
Okay.
Okay. So. Need to do a little bit of trimming. For some tails. Okay. Okay, so. Here is our finished product. Here.
Yes, that is the finished emote that is for Ginger to wear when we go to Disney next.
I don't know if you guys can really see it.
You have to speak up.
I think they can really see it. Okay, so if you see this, right here. There's this. You could see it a minute ago. I swear you could see it a minute ago.
It's the automatic.
Okay, so wait. There was.
No, it's a tail that got trapped underneath other stitching.
See, there's one like right here, but I know it's not really.
So you can kind of see the
right here how there's
a green line through
like right in there.
Through the red.
Right now, what I'm gonna do, if you want to zoom up and like be able to see the table.
What do you mean?
Like zoom out, so you can see the table. And go down. You don't have to zoom out that far. You don't have to go that far. Go down. Not that far. Oh wait, no, that far. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I prefer personally.
Yeah.
To keep it in the coop while trying to trim that stuff down, just because it keeps things a little tighter, so it makes it a little easier. What?
Mickey Van said, "Zoom in on your nose."
Why my nose?
I don't know. Just tell why her nose.
Okay. So.
Just because.
I mean, you could zoom up a little bit more on this. You could maybe see. That's a little better. Without the light.
Doesn't really.
Okay, good.
Zoom up more.
Yeah, zoom up a little more. Okay, there we go. That's better.
Yeah, you can see the little green line through the red right now.
Yeah, see this?
That's a tail and it got trapped underneath.
So what I'm gonna have to do, because of the way since it's not super dense, I can try to kind of pull it. Where's my tweezers? I need my tweezers. Where's my tweezers?
I don't know where your tweezers are.
So you get pretty inventive on how to work things when you embroider.
That's just crafts in general,
Well,
but
yeah.
When you have a business, you really get creative. Mickey Van says, look at that concentration.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. When you're talking about that kind of detail.
I'm very particular about this.
Yes, she's very particular.
I'm a professional.
And it's very easy to mess things up. Remember, don't trim it too close. You stick your tongue out when you concentrate.
Do I really?
No, not you.
Oh.
Mickey Van. Yeah. Now can we please get the big piece of brown up there?
I was getting there. I was working my way up. Jeez.
Yeah, sorry. I just didn't think he needed to look like he had braces.
Yeah, no, I know.
So it was a give and take. Either it trimmed it and left tails, or it had jump stitches, which you would have to cut later. And the problem with that is when a small portion of the design, you can end up cutting through part of the stitching that needs to be there, and then your design is done.
Been there, done that.
I should make one with Stitch driving the Mickey Van or the tram. Alright. I know somebody that would be a great gift for.
Okay. So now there are a few loops. So sometimes.
Let me zoom out.
No, it's fine. So sometimes what happens when you embroider is it's just something that happens, you can't avoid it. You can't even you won't really be able to see it, but I can see it, and it can cause a problem later on if you don't take care of it, because it can cause the design to unravel. Is sometimes there's loops And they're not something you can cut because they're not jump stitches, they're loops.
It's just where the material doesn't necessarily pull as tightly as it needs to.
You can't really see it.
You can kind of see a little bit the loop on the gray.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and take this out first.
You don't need to have it taut like that when you do the looping.
No, in fact, sometimes you don't want it to be. So go ahead and take off the hoop.
Would you like me to zoom out?
Move it up. You can move it up at least. Not that far up. I mean, you can zoom it out a little bit, yeah. No, keep it zoomed in. Just move it down just a little bit. Okay. So this, I will end up trimming down here in a minute. First things first, I want to get rid of these loops because they drive me nuts. We have these little tools. They're called snag repair needles. So you can't really even, okay, you can kind of see it in the thing, but there's a thinner one, there's a thicker one, and then there's a thinner one. Obviously I'm going to use a thinner one because this is thin material.
Yes. Yes, you do.
So what I'm going to go ahead and do, oh yeah, move it up. I'm sorry. Okay, there. That's good. Yeah, I don't love the autofocus. We need to look at that. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is right where the loop is, it's kind of hard to see. It doesn't matter. It's okay. So right where this yeah, you can see the loop. Right where this loop is, I'm gonna take this like needle-looking thing because it's got these rough edges that's gonna help pull it through. So right at the loop thing, I'm gonna go ahead and
try not to.
Sometimes it's kind of hard to push
poke yourself
through, so I like to kind of maybe put it on a table
and let it.
Oh wow, let it bend.
It won't. Did it bend?
It bend. Okay, so that means unfortunately trash. Okay, so maybe don't do that.
Depending on the density of the design, that's why there's a thinner one and a thicker one. Thinner one is usually for thinner material, but the density of the design will make a difference, and if it's too dense, it can bend the little snag needle. Sorry about the autofocus. Like I said, I'm still trying to learn the camera, so it's kind of freaking out.
Should I don't want to do the thicker one because I feel like it's going to leave too big of a hole. Do you agree? Or do you think I need to because this is a big...
If it's dense right through there, yeah. I think you'll be fine.
Ow!
Sometimes it's a little bit of a trial and error to get it to pick up the loop. And because it does have the two layers of mesh on it, that may be why the thicker is more beneficial. But yeah, I tend to put it on the table. And
so now you can, I don't know how well you can see that, but now you can see that it looks,
now there's no loop.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth. Not that the damn autofocus wants to work, but anyway, so I'm gonna go through and see if there's any other loops. That one was thick, so I had to use a thicker one. There are some thinner ones. And the other thing too is when you do talk about a looser design, wait, is that a loop or no, that's not a loop. Sometimes too you'll look and you think that there's a loop, no, that's a loop. Sometimes it can be hard to tell between a loop and a tail. Sometimes you have to look at different angles too, because when you just look at it, it's like right now I'm looking at it. I thought there was another one, but maybe oh no, wait, no, there's not. Oh no, it just looks like one.
You too. Bye, Mickey Van. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye. This is like kind of a loop, but then kind of a tail. I'm afraid if I cut it, it's gonna end up taking some of the. Okay, that's better. I'm very big about cutting my tails and everything as much as possible. A lot of people don't do this, but I'm very particular about trying to make my stuff as perfect as possible.
Comes from being a perfectionist and from buying things and realizing how bad they look.
Okay, so now you can see finished product outside. And then like
Excuse me. So the last thing that she has to do is to cut the
you might want to zoom out a little bit because
the mesh.
so what I usually like to do, you can scoot it over a little bit if you want to. No,
Wrong way. Sorry,
okay.
I'm like doing this in an
Okay,
awkward angle.
Go a little more to the middle. No, there we go. There, better. Okay, so see there's a lot of extra here. What I like to do is I like to just kind of at first bunch it, take a good part of it off, like the really big part.
This does help to avoid ending up cutting your fabric. Some people don't actually cut theirs down. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah. Or like they trim it down like badly.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Again, perfectionism.
Okay, so now you can see that I have, what is this thread?
I don't know.
It's just part of the shirt. So now you can see I still have more to cut down. The other thing too is, okay, see how there's little pieces of thread sticking up, kind of, yeah. So I also like to cut those down. Where are the scissors that I cut those down? I think it's these ones. I also am very particular about my scissors for different things. So this is just where it's tied off. These little, these things that are sticking up, it doesn't affect right here and everything. It doesn't affect the embroidery because it's where it's already tied off, and it's just basically it's a tail on the other side. And you don't. I mean, most people leave them, but for especially with a garment for sake of comfort and everything, I tend to trim them down just because I just feel that it makes things a little tighter and neater and more comfortable. And it gives less opportunity for things to possibly get ruined. Now, I don't necessarily recommend doing this because sometimes, again, you could end up cutting part of the stitching. I do know, I can tell the difference, so it's not that big of a deal. Because, like, especially where I had to put through the where I had to fix the looping, it's a little bit more, it shows a little bit more on the back now, so that's not something you would want to cut down.
There's when it's an obvious tail, that's the best place to trim it down.
Yeah, I mean, like,
if it's not an obvious tail, it's better to just leave it.
Like the ones that you can literally see standing up right here.
Those are good to trim.
Those are, yeah. And if you ever have something that you have questions about of whether or not to trim it or whatever, and maybe even on the front of a design, of an embroidered design that you get, you can always send me a message, even if it's not one of mine. I mean, it shouldn't be one of mine because I'm pretty particular about trying to do this. But if there is something that is bothering you from a different, something that you've gotten that's embroidered, then you can always send me a message and I can tell you whether that would be a safe thing to trim down. Okay. I don't tend to trim it down as closely as like I do in the front, because obviously the front of the design, you want it to be as nice as possible. That's what you're seeing. I just like to trim them down, so that way it's not super long. They do tend to still kind of be there, but it's not super long. Now you can see that there's no parts that are like sticking up. So the next part that I'm going to be doing, you might have to move this one because I'm going to use the table. So the next part I'm going to be doing is cutting down, like actually really cutting down. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see me do this, just because I'm going to have to really be able to see the detail. So you can see where the embroidery, because like if you pull here, you can see where this is just extra stabilizer, and then this is where it's stitched.
So it's better to leave just a little bit.
I try to go as close as possible.
I know you try to go to as close as possible. But if you're concerned about cutting into your fabric,
yeah, you want to make sure you don't cut.
Then it would be better to leave a little bit of the stabilizer. However, you don't want to leave a great big piece of stabilizer, because that
gets uncomfortable.
Yeah, it gets uncomfortable. It's got a whole slew of issues that potentially happen.
When I tend to
especially within a garment.
Yeah, when I tend to cut it down, what I'll do is I'll pull the fabric with my finger back here, so that way it's not getting in the way, and then it's gonna kind of show me, kind of like when you pull a seam, you can see where the seam is, as opposed to the material. So it's kind of like that. So I try to pull the material down, so that way I can cut it as close as possible without cutting the garment. And the other thing is, I do tend to make sure I have good light, so that way I can see, and I always try to feel where the garment is as well. Because yeah, it's better to cut
to be a little further away from the end of the stitching and have just a little bit of stabilizer left over than to cut into your stitching and ruin your garment, or cut your garment.
Yeah, that's something I've come close to doing. I haven't, but
well, let's hope you do not.
That's why I try to be very careful.
Now, do keep in mind that Ginger Scientist is in fact a scientist. She has a degree in biology and a degree in psychology, and has spent a lot of time in labs where very, very precise.
I've also been embroidering for years.
Very precise instructions and details, and spaces are required. and
I have a little more practice
yeah,
at being a little more precise.
Yeah, she has the ability to be a little more detailed than the average person. I would probably leave a little more on the, just because I would be afraid of cutting the material, than she would be, obviously, than she is, because I don't have the 2 science degrees and I've never spent any time in a science lab. So
now sometimes what I'll do, because if you, I don't know how well you can see, but this dips down, so there is going to be stabilizer, but it's kind of hard. It's going to be kind of hard to pull the, right there, it's going to be kind of hard to pull the shirt all the way down, so I'll just continue to cut straight. Yes, technically I could really wiggle it down, but I just prefer to just leave a little extra space, because again, it's better to leave extra space than cut your garment.
yes, this is somewhat of a time consuming process, and I understand that if you have an embroidery business, there's a possibility that you wouldn't have the ability to do this with every garment, because we don't have the kind of volume that a lot of people have. I would love to, and we're working on it, but as of right now, we don't have that. So, in that event, I would maybe consider a different stabilizer. Um, Cutaway does tend to be the strongest.
Well, again, that's where you just allow more allowance.
Right. You just would have.
If you're trying to do it more quickly and everything, but we really, with garments and stuff, you really want the mesh.
I really like the mesh for garments.
If you ask most embroiderers, they'll tell you the same thing. Or if you look it up.
I would maybe go straight across there. See, you can see where she has cut it, and it's all still one piece. That's that precision from being in a lab.
Oh yeah, okay. So now this is cut down. Yes, like I said, of course there's going to be areas, because like there's the area between his ear right here.
But it's fine.
But it's fine. So this is pretty close. As you can see, when you...
The mesh does help the material keep its shape.
Yeah. So, but you can see where, yes, there's like a tiny bit, but you see where there's not a whole lot of, because again, you can see where this is the stitching, and you see a little bit. But yeah, so now
Sorry, I'm trying to.
Okay, so here we have the completed garment.
Let me zoom in.
I mean, you can.
He kind of pulled a little.
He puckered. Okay, so that is another thing, is especially with certain garments. If you look,
He didn't pucker until the hat.
I know it's the hat. Well, a little bit on the heart too. So if you look, you can kind of see where. Okay, I know this is a little weird, but you can kind of see where.
It's got a little bit of a dip in the
Yeah.
material. No, because it is
Right
a
here.
stretchy material that will.
You won't notice it as. Cause
Yeah.
Like, okay, right now I'll go and put it on. That's almost unavoidable with any kind of embroidery, unless you're talking about something that's got like 500 stitches. Go ahead and zoom out. It is a very common thing, so it's almost completely unavoidable. Obviously, I still have my shirt underneath on, but there we go. There it is, and it actually, I think it laid in a pretty good spot.
I mean,
yeah. Again, it's gonna look better because it's gonna be more flowy since after I don't have this shirt on.
But you can see on the top part of the hat where it's slightly puckered. That's just where it's just extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get lucky and you have minimal puckering, and sometimes you get a little bit, like we have here.
It's usually, this is honestly minimal. It's almost completely unavoidable. But yeah, so like I said, it will flow better because this is more of a flowy shirt when I don't have another big baggy shirt on underneath. I'll post pictures when I wear it in the Discord. But yeah, I think it actually laid in a pretty good spot. I mean, maybe could have gone up a little bit higher, but I mean, if it was a little bit higher, maybe like an inch, half an inch at most. So I feel like it laid in a pretty good spot for
what you did.
Yeah. And then I think this is also a good size because I know with the sweatshirt I did a really big one, but it's because it's a sweatshirt. This is a t-shirt, so unless with a printed design like the t-shirt I'm wearing underneath, that's one thing, but I feel like with something like this, especially with embroidery, because again, the more you embroider, the more you put pressure on the garment, the more puckering and everything that you're going to get. So I think something a little bit smaller, something, and you see that commonly with shirts too, where you do get a smaller design. It's usually either it kind of covers the whole shirt, like the one underneath that I have here, or it...
That's also not embroidery.
That's not embroidery, right. So, typically with shirts you see where it's like almost completely covered, or you'll see something more like this where it's just, it's big enough that you can definitely see it, but it's not huge. And with t-shirts can be a little bit more difficult to embroider on. It's not impossible, obviously. But t-shirts can be a little more difficult to embroider on just because of because of the material, because it's not, a sweatshirt's more durable, it can hold a little bit better and everything, so that's why like a sweatshirt's a little easier. T-shirt can be a little bit more tricky. It just kind of depends. Luckily, the hoops that we use, the mighty hoops, because this is a big thing, that I feel like it can be that makes all the difference, actually. The mighty hoops, because they're a strong magnet, you saw where it still was very tight. It was still taut, like how it started at the very beginning after it was all stitched out. So sometimes, and you're talking about a lot of pressure, obviously, on the shirt. With a t-shirt, it can start to slip out of the hoop and mess everything up, depending on the kind of hoop you're using. With the mighty hoops, it really keeps things nice and sturdy. So,
the reason that it does pucker is because it's pulling on the fabric, and the fabric ends up being a little bit looser, but then you've got where you started and it's tighter, and so then it kind of, it's not that it shifts, it changes the weave a little bit.
Well, you're talking about, this is a stretchy shirt, so that's the other thing is when it's puncturing down, even with it being really taut in the hoop, when it's puncturing down, it is going to start to pull and kind of stretch.
Right.
And
so
that's
it
where
pulls the material, and that's where you get.
That's where you get the puckering, is the pull of the material. So that's kind of, yeah.
And that's where the one stabilizer that I was talking about earlier, that's designed for performance wear, might have resulted in a little less puckering, but it's not significant, and I've definitely seen very expensive garments with significantly worse puckering. So I think it turned out really nice. I like it.
I do too. I hope you guys liked watching it. I hope you guys, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you like it? I don't know who all is still on stream, if anybody's still watching. But yeah, so like I said, this one is in fact one of the emotes that I have hand drawn on my channel, with some adaptations due to the shirt I was using, the project I wanted it for, and I do plan to actually, I'm working on setting up a shop to be able to buy these items, and I'm going to offer them on different, like sweatshirts and tote bags and whatnot, and I can also look into doing more variations like this one. So like I said, I plan on opening up a shop. Most of what's going to be on my shop is going to be pretty much exactly what my emotes are, but who knows, maybe I'll do some more adaptations like this, and I always would take requests. So soon I will have the Ginger Scientist Creations website up and running, and I will make sure that that is in my bio and everything, and I'll put a link in next time we do an embroidery stream, because I do plan to try to do more embroidery streams in the future. So when that's all up and running, I will definitely make sure to share that with you guys. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and I hope that if you are trying to get into, if you are in embroidery or you're trying to learn about it, trying to get into it, hope that maybe some of what we said today would help. Like I said, we still are having some technical issues. Hopefully we can try to continue to figure it out and have a smoother, with more angles and everything, and a better flow with camera in the future. So, but the next couple embroidery streams might still be a little bit
wonky.
Yeah, but we'll get it. We'll eventually get it. And like I said, I very much am willing to take requests, and it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be the emotes that are on my channel. I can do, another thing that I plan to do is, if you look on the banner that I have on my channel, it's the it's the serotonin molecule, and I have different interests. So where the molecules, where the like the dots of the molecule is, I have a controller for the gaming. I have an embroidery for obviously the embroidery, and then I have a microscope, because I mean, I am a scientist, and those are all things that are very relevant on the channel for me. So I have plans to do like dopamine and serotonin in particular. Dopamine is what you actually earn when you watch the stream. It's the reward neurotransmitter, and
that is, of course, provided you are enjoying the stream. If you are not, then I don't think it's dopamine.
But you get channel point rewards, and rewards are dopamine. Anyway, serotonin is known as kind of the happy molecule, well, the happy neurotransmitter. It has a lot of things, but roughly basic interpretation of it. And so I plan on trying to do other things where you can get your molecule and customize where, maybe something that's important to you is coffee. And maybe something else that's important to you is, I don't know, unicorns. You love unicorns. And we could do like a little unicorn hat. It's not going to be anything that's super complicated, and it's going to be silhouettes. Maybe you're really into
reading.
There we go, a book, yeah. So maybe you're really into reading, and then we can put a book at one of them. So like different things that are important to you, and that's something else that I plan to have on Ginger Scientist Creations once that's up and running. So, and like I said, I'm more than happy to take requests. So if there's anything that you would like to see, let me know, and I can see if I can make it happen.
Now, I do believe you owe I'm Lost, who is still with us. Thank you, your doll.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
A signature silly face. That's right.
Yes.
So I do owe you that because you're reading that, and this is the first time I've had camera on since then. So there you go. But thank you so much, I'm Lost, for being here for the whole stream and everything and supporting. I really appreciate it. I will be on tonight, so you'll be able to have your entertainment tonight on your walk to work. And I'll be playing tonight. I will be probably starting around 1 a.m. my time, which is Pacific time. I'll probably be playing most games. I'm definitely going to be playing Dead by Daylight, but I might also play Dreamlight Valley and Speedstorm depending on what's going on, because it's going to be a longer stream. I have my, for those of you, a lot of you know about this on the channel, I have a procedure, a sympathetic nerve block that I have to get so that way I can not be in pain. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. and since I'm going to have to leave at like 7 a.m. due to traffic, and that's usually about the time I'm going to sleep. So I plan on just staying awake until after, because I'll sleep plenty after. So that's why I'm going to do an extra long stream, because I'll pretty much just stream up until the time that I have to get ready to go for my procedure. So definitely tune in tonight, and I will let you know. I will keep you guys updated on the next time that we do an embroidery stream. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit because I need to make sure I'm fully recovered, because as you can see, there's a lot of movement where I have to hunch down and, all of that. And it's in my back, so I need to make sure I'm well recovered from that. But I will definitely keep you guys updated. However, on Wednesday night and Thursday night are the lovely mod here that you've also been hearing today.
And by lovely, she means rotten to the core.
Yeah. As many of you
should not be left unsupervised ever.
As many of you know her, Mama Llama, or Llama. Is it
Llama Mama.
Llama Mama.
That's because I almost hit a llama. Well, I didn't almost hit it. It just scared the bejesus out of me at 5 a.m. after driving for an obscene amount of time going to Utah for my friend's wedding, and I did not realize that llamas were in Utah, so it was a little shocking.
Yeah, so that's where her nickname comes from. But she will, because I will be recovering, she will be taking over stream. It will still be on my channel, but she will be streaming for me on my channel.
I don't do camera.
But she is fun, and she tells a lot of good stories. So definitely tune in, support her. I really appreciate it.
I'll probably be playing some of Ginger's Dreamlight to help her get a jump on the star path, because there is an update that comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm really gonna, I might be able to get, depending on when the update releases, I might be able to get a little bit of time before I have to leave on the update, but yeah, it's gonna be a little bit before I can enjoy the update. So Wednesday night, definitely, possibly Thursday night too, most likely Thursday night, she will be taking over stream for me, and I will keep you guys updated on any other channel updates. So thank you guys again for watching, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So I'm excited to continue to do more. I hope to see you guys on the next stream, and I hope you guys have a good day or night wherever you are. Bye! Did you stop it?
Yeah.
You haven't stopped recording.